online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
We're discussing camera position. We got another one. We got another Forever song in there. This one was a YouTube request.
Yes, Shay from YouTube, thank you for requesting Kenny Loggins Forever.
It's perfect.
This is for you, Shay.
Absolutely perfect. Welcome, guys, to the AFTERBUZZ TV Forever After Show. I am your host, Kate Aquillano, joined by my lovely co-host,
Pegah Rad. Hi, guys.
Hi, I'm Marielou Mandel.
And we have a very special guest in studio, creator of Forever, Matt Miller.
Hello.
Oh, we got a little applause.
Hear the applause.
All right, well, tonight was season 1, episode 7, New York Kids. But before we get to that, we just want to pick your brain about about our new favorite show, Forever.
Great, thank you.
So you're the creator. How did you come up with this? How did you get involved?
The origin of the idea?
Origin.
So, all right, so what happened was I was putting my 5-year-old son to bed one night, and he asked me, as like 5-year-olds can do, he said, Daddy, are you ever going to die someday?
Oh.
And you're like, you don't want to tell them. And so I said, no, I'll never die. I didn't want to upset him or anything. And then I thought about it, and I realized you're supposed to build like trust through honesty and all that kind of business. So I decided to come clean. So I said, all right, Daddy wasn't completely truthful. I will die someday, but it won't be for a very long time, and by then you'll probably want me to be dead. At which point he burst into tears. My wife came running into the room, and I was kind of banished from the room, and she continued raising my kid. And I went off to write television. And so I started kind of playing with that idea about what if a character, for some reason couldn't or wouldn't die.
Okay.
All the amazing things that you could do with eternity. And then you start to think, well, but what if my son wasn't immortal too? Would it watching him grow old and die, and friends and family and all that stuff, would it prove to be more of a curse than a blessing? Mm-hmm. So I started with that kind of idea of a character that kind of had the thing that we all wanted, on some level. And that he didn't want it. He was there to tell you that I have immortality and it's terrible.
Right.
And to start with that kind of conflict in the character. Mm-hmm. And then the Emmy, and then you figured, well, what does he do for a living? And it was well, it may be fun if he was surrounded by death. If a guy who couldn't achieve it, but really wanted it, was surrounded by it all day. And so he, the doctor thing sort of came into it, and then the medical examiner part.
Well, that story is probably why the Abe Henry storyline is so strong.
Yeah, I think so. I think you start to think about that, and then you're like, well, yeah, what if you had a kid, and even though Abe is not his natural son, that because I felt that by this point in his life, he probably would have had some natural kids and decided he wasn't going to have any more kids, making a conscious decision, and then through fate kind of intervening is when he met Abigail, and then Abe and ended up raising him.
Yeah, I know that's all of our favorite storyline.
Yeah.
Every time it's Abe and Henry, we're like, oh.
Yeah, they have great chemistry, those guys.
Speaking of that relationship, did you, when you were casting those two roles, did you immediately think of Ioan and Judd, or was it, how did they come to you? Because I think they work so well together.
It's just, it's one of those kind of roll the dice kind of alchemy things, and it just works. The first person who was casting the show was Judd. We sort of made a list of actors for Abe, and it was sort of Judd Hirsch, perfect. And then we sent it to him, and he agreed to do it. So he was really easy piece of the puzzle that fell into place. And then with Henry, it was really hard to find Henry because I needed to hear someone read it, and needed to feel it, and you needed to believe because the concept's so big, you needed an actor that could do the humor and the romance, but that really would ground the performance. Like you'd really believe that this guy lived for like over 200 years. And we looked in LA and New York and Canada and London and Australia and like South Africa. We were looking for everywhere. Wow. And then one day I was dropping both of my kids off at preschool, and this guy like was getting into his car, and he had like was rocking these white loafers. And it was just like shocking to see a man in white loafers and no socks. And I was like, God, who is that guy? And then I realized it was Ioan, and I had never worked with him or anything, but I knew him from like Fantastic Four and those movies. And I was like, God, that guy is really interesting. And so, the casting director called his agent, sent him the script. He liked it. We met. Then he came in, read it, and it was great.
Wow. We really have your 5-year-old to thank for this series.
Really do.
I know. I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old.
The 6-year-old.
Yeah. This was, well, one of my kids is Henry, so we know Henry. And
Oh,
yeah.
gosh. So
but
when
other
you come
kid is
together,
like, what's going on here? This is like,
when you come
better
into the
name
show next
something.
time, you have to bring them.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, that'd be a
One of the quick story, one of the first people I met when I came to LA for the first time, I sat next to Ioan at a restaurant. And
really?
Couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah, he's like the loveliest, nicest, hardest working. He is a total dream to work with. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So should we start with the
Twitter questions?
Yeah, the Twitter. We got tons of responses from you guys on Twitter, so thanks so much for tweeting your questions out. We'll start out with at Addie Cole. What was Henry's first car?
Well,
There probably wasn't cars.
yeah. So he was, he predates the automobile and the airplane. But I don't, he has a thing for Jaguars that we learned in tonight's episode. But we will also come to learn that he hasn't driven for a very long time. So while he appreciates certain cars, he actually doesn't drive. So I don't know his first car. I mean, I'm not as would be like a Model T or something, I would imagine.
His first car would be the first car.
Yeah, exactly.
Would be the first car ever.
Yeah. I think that'd be a fun storyline, though, actually, to see Henry like driving like one of the early first cars and then crashing and dying. Yeah. It's always fun. You can kill your hero whenever you want.
I know Marielou is wearing a scarf. It's a little hot in here.
Oh, I
so
have it
you
still.
have it. One of our Twitter followers.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Because I don't get Halloween. I have to work on Halloween. So this
so
is
you're
my dressing up.
Okay.
You're
good.
dressing up.
My costume.
You're Henry Morgan?
Yes.
So Anna Aventis, I think I'm saying her name right. Does Henry have extra of his favorite scarves in case he dies while wearing one and loses it?
That's a great question. Yes, he has to have, if he finds something that's working for him, he has to have doubles of tweed suits and scarves and vests and nice shoes and things like that. Yes.
When he dies, it's a little complicated when he dies.
I always get.
Let's talk.
So how did you, like, the rules? Like, so everything he has on him disappears, but like not the stopwatch, but his clothes disappear?
No, the stopwatch, if he had anything on his person that he has on his person disappears. So, fortuitously, like when he shot in the pilot, like first on the slave ship, you see the pocket watch fall out of him. And then on the subway, the pocket watch sort of falls out, and that's what Joe finds on the subway car. So like the pocket watch is one of those things that worked really, really nicely in the pilot. But when you start to do it in series, it's sort of like, it's a big pain in the ass because if he has to fortuitously leave the pocket watch at home. If he imagines he's going into danger. Yeah.
And that's why we don't see the watch anymore.
That's why we don't really deal with the watch that much.
Yeah, we
anymore.
thought it was going to be like a little symbol going forward after the pilot.
We will revisit the pocket watch and revisit the origin of the pocket watch and how he got the pocket watch and those circumstances. And, because we're going to do an episode, episode 14, which will be, it's our only flashback that we'll have done that predates Henry's affliction. Nice. So we'll get to see Henry in London like circa like 1812 or something before he got on the slave ship and why he got on the slave ship and all that kind of stuff.
And so will that give us some insight into the curse and how he got this?
Maybe a
immortality?
little. I think that's like, to me, like the why he got the curse is the very slow kind of burn mythology stuff that will take place over the course of many seasons in a perfect world. But the like this season we're really dealing with a lot of the Abigail backstory, the story between Adam and Henry and how long that actually, has lasted, and maybe there's things that Henry learns that he didn't, interactions between the two of them that he may not have known about, and
Interesting.
get into that kind of interpersonal stuff and he'll certainly learn more about his affliction and a little bit of the rules of it that he didn't know through Adam, but we're not going to solve the mystery of why he's immortal or anything.
Well, Adam is a big thing that we always are thinking about, and a lot of the Twitter followers are thinking about. So specifically, Redhead03 Stacy was asking for spoilers on Adam. You have anything you can give us? Anything
Little
juicy?
teases.
Let's see. So Adam, it was just in last week's episode, Jack the Ripper.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, it was a really good episode, and he will return in an episode sort of right before Christmas, and we will meet Adam.
Oh.
How about that?
Okay, so
Yay.
was it him outside calling him? Because her and I thought that we saw him for a split second.
When he comes outside
In the Jack the Ripper episode.
Yeah.
In the Jack the Ripper episode, he calls Henry, and then he comes outside, and we saw for a split second. It was
They're
like
at
an
the
older
butcher.
man.
Right, so I
Yeah,
guess the
yeah.
question is, have we seen Adam?
Was that him?
And the phone's there and all.
Yeah.
of
But
that
there's a
stuff.
quick
Yeah.
crowd shot.
Yeah, I
quick.
don't know. I don't know if we've seen him. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
swear.
Guy looks so shady.
You may have to go back and
we'll
look
go
at some
back and we'll
stuff.
compare.
I'm gonna
we'll
freeze
say.
it on the DVR.
Yeah,
we'll
freeze
freeze
it,
Yeah.
and then wait till episode 11.
Watch, it's like Matt. He's like the extra.
Yeah, it's me.
Hey.
Hello, Henry.
You said that Abigail's really important in season 1. Is Abigail still alive? Because I think she is. Maybe.
Maybe.
Undecided.
Well, I know the answer. I just don't want to
Yeah,
say
alright.
the answer.
But we're gonna. Will we find out?
Yeah, we're gonna learn a lot more about Abigail and Henry and why they aren't together and what sort of happened there
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. I love the flashbacks.
Oh,
'Cause I
cool.
love the history. So I love that you.
Yeah.
And I love the writers. Kudos to the writers. They weave the present story and the
Right.
flashbacks
Thematically
so
into- yeah.
well.
Oh,
and
cool.
it's done really. I can't
Thanks.
complain.
Yeah, we've got. Let's see. Next week's is really, or not. Next week we're off for the election, but then the week after, our flashback story is really fun. The episode is a dominatrix kind of episode, so it's like our 50 Shades of Grey episode, and it sort of deals with trust, which is really what happens when you go, get into that kind of S&M stuff. And so the flashback actually tells the story of Henry's first wife. So it starts in like 1815, like
Wow.
a year after he was in the shipwreck, shot, whatever, on the slave ship. And so we get to meet her, and she didn't realize that Henry was still alive. So we meet her for the first time. She's sort of mourning over the grave of Henry. And then he kind of, it's like, hey, I'm alive,
Surprise! I'm not dead.
Yeah, and then, it takes a little while for him to decide, should he or shouldn't he tell her? Because, as far as she's concerned, he just sort of survived a shipwreck. But he's got a little bit more to that story. And so does he tell her or not tell her?
Well, speaking of the dominatrix, we just learned that it's One Tree Hill alum,
Yeah.
Hillary Burton,
Yeah,
that's
she's
going to
great.
play that.
Yeah.
I know One Tree Hill fans are so excited. But
Oh, good.
Entertainment Weekly said the characters fall for each other.
I think that there's like a little bit of chemistry there,
Okay.
They're not going to run off into the
I
sunset
know. It's only. I was like, she's only
Yeah.
guest starring in one
Yeah.
episode.
Well, we'll see. She could come back, but yeah, there's just like an interesting kind of connection that they make in that episode.
What about Joe and Henry?
I like.
Is it just a friendship? Is there going to be? I sometimes. I mean, I see the whole friendship thing. The banter, super
Yeah.
cute.
I like the
But
friendship.
once in a while, I just feel glimpses of.
There may be a little
bit
spark.
more, a
I think
spark.
there'll be a little bit of a spark. I
Okay.
think that, yeah, it's like with that kind of stuff, like it's a little bit, you have to be very careful because once you start turning on like the will they or won't they, you're just on that train.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard to get off of that. And so we're going to try and mine as much kind of emotional core for them, like an emotional connection, like, he's had a lot of loss and Abigail and all that business. and then she and her husband, and we'll get into that story, and we're going to tell like a really nice Jo and her dead husband story. And
Yeah,
A nice
I feel
story.
like
a really sweet, funny
With
Jo
her and her
and her
dead
dead
husband.
Yeah.
I feel like in tonight's episode we kind of got a foreshadow of Jo and her husband's kind of what happened there, right?
Yeah, and we will, really dive into it in an episode. There'll be an episode where like Jo sort of has to, they have to solve an A story, but that the A story directly relates to like her dead husband. So it
Okay.
forces her to like kind of deal with all this baggage stuff that she hasn't dealt with. And they find like an old deposition tape because he was an attorney of a case that he was working on. And then so she gets to see him, like in a deposition in like footage that she never even knew kind of existed. And at the end of the deposition, there's like this really nice moment where like, they stop like interviewing the person and his phone rings.
And it's her.
And it's Jo. And so she gets to like kind of watch this conversation that she didn't even know was filmed that she had sort of had with him before he died. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Zora's
Wow,
question.
I got
So
goosebumps.
there you go from Zora.
That's another like super funny episode.
Well, then, speaking of Jo, I just want to say thanks for the dynamic female characters.
Yeah,
Because we've got Jo, we've got the lieutenant.
Yeah.
Abigail's really
Lorraine.
interesting.
Yeah,
And
Abigail,
the Frenchman, I love.
Frenchman was
Yes.
great.
I was like, yes, Frenchman. Are we going to see more of her?
We do need
Can we
more
please?
Frenchmen.
We could bring the Frenchman back, at least like for Abe,
Yeah, please for
Yeah.
Abe.
But we heard.
eHarmony dates aren't
I
really
know the
working out for
eHarmony's
him
not
anymore.
working, but we heard that one of his ex-wives is coming on.
Yeah, we have, again, that's not this coming Tuesday because there's the election. The Tuesday after, we have an episode where Abe's ex twice divorced. He's married her twice and divorced her twice, ex-wife.
Wow.
Oh, Abe.
Yeah. I think they were married twice for probably like 6 months total over a period of like 20 years. Like they just kind of
It's a
fall
little
back
crazy,
into
really.
it every
Oh
few
my
years and then don't. And so she comes back into the antique shop looking for Abe and looking for action. And that character is played by Jane Seymour. And they're great together. It's super funny and really like...
I can't wait
Which
for
again
that.
was cast by a child.
Yeah, we
Right.
heard that Wendy's and John's daughter suggested Jane. And then Jane sent her a video thanking her for the role. Did you see the video?
I didn't know. That's awesome.
We'll show you
Yeah.
after. We showed it to the fans because
Oh,
it was
really?
so cute
Oh,
to take
that's
the
adorable.
time.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So she really liked that. So 2 weeks ago, ABC ordered some additional scripts.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Season 2?
Well, first we wanted, we got to get a full season 1 here.
But is that's
But it's a good vote of confidence, and so yeah, we're certainly planning on like a 22, like our season has been broken in the writers' room as if we're doing 22, so we have planned that out.
Oh.
So hopefully, yeah, they seem really happy, like creatively, like a lot of times you'll have like the network or the studio, they throw scripts out and outlines or whatever. They've been great so far. We've gotten a lot of support from ABC and Warner Brothers in like the creative elements of the show. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed they let us keep doing it because it's so much fun to
Fingers
make.
crossed.
Yeah.
I know. It must be so fun. We were talking before, do you visit, because you're based in LA, but it's shot in New York. Do you visit New York a lot?
Yeah, I go like probably once every 3 weeks or a month and just sort of pop in. But then like, it's weird because it's just so hard not to be able to like walk down to the set. And just not being there. Like the writers will go to produce their episodes and John Kretschmer, we have a producing director who is from LA that lives there because the directors come in and different directors direct every episode, but you have one person that's there. But like I don't know, like today was like a weird day where like first thing in the morning I got a call from Alana. There was like a question about something, and then later on in the day I had Ioan called me about so it's, sometimes there's just like something in like the air where you feel like, oh God, I wish I could just like walk down to the set right now, and totally unrelated questions about totally different like situations. And then like that's why you got to go like every 3 weeks. You just got to like let them know that like, hey guys, I'm still and for them they're just getting new scripts and shooting the episodes. But like for me, I see them like in the editing room like all day, every day. So it feels like you're sort of still there with them.
Is there an additional showrunner outside of you that's on set all the time? No, they just can call
no.
you. Is that hard to do remotely? Like,
Yeah,
obviously.
you just got to keep
You
the
just have your phone.
on
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
24/7. I think they're respectful. Where like if it's a 7 a.m. call in New York, which would be like 4 a.m.
yeah.
our time. They're not going to call
Maybe
me.
we shouldn't call them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens, but for the most part, like if we had like a problem cast, it would be really tough. But they're so professional and so good, and it all comes from the top. Like I've worked on shows, and on this show, it's interesting that like Ioan, because I think he's like classically trained like British actor, that he respects the words so much that he reads every single word. And so I've been in situations where I've been in New York and like, you've written one thing to be a certain way, and then you get on the set and it like doesn't totally match what you wrote, so you got to change a few lines, and he's just like, I don't know about that. He like learns the lines like every word, and you're like, this is great. It's so nice, such a pleasure.
Yeah.
That because I've certainly worked on shows where people are just like, yeah, whatever. And
Yeah.
I got
Come up
the
with
gist of it. I
something.
got the gist of it, and you're like, you ruined the rhythm.
Now tell us about the writer's room.
Yeah.
How do you guys, I mean, it's so intricate. Every detail of the crime, it's so intricate. How do you guys start out? Is there a big whiteboard? Are you guys just throwing out ideas?
There's a lot of whiteboards. It's brutal. It's it's not brutal. It's super fun, and it's a really good staff of writers. And I worked on a show called Chuck, and there was
Huge fan over here.
Oh, good. Well, there's 3 of the writers from Chuck work on this show. Chris Fedak, who co-created Chuck, a guy named Phil Klemmer, and a guy named Zev Barrow. All 3 were really good friends, and we worked on that together. And then we have 3 editors, and 2 of the 3 editors are the editors from Chuck, and so it's a lot of the same team is together. But what we do is basically, we'll start with like an idea for an episode, like a kernel of an idea. And then we try and think, like Jack the Ripper, for example, like someone will pitch that idea and we'll say, okay, well, let's talk about that. And so we talk about what would be like a possible A story there. And then we talk like, well, what's interesting about a 200-year-old guy solving that crime? Like as opposed to, like a lot of very good, but straight up procedurals. How does that play into the hook of our show? And like, how does it connect emotionally or story-wise to Henry? Like either maybe he knew, like in our 4th episode at the museum, he knew the person that was actually killed, but he knew her, 50 years ago. So that was sort of fun. So we try and think about that stuff. And then we think about, well, what's the flashback story? Like what... We've talked roughly about like the chronological arc of Henry's life from like birth till present day, and then you start to think, well, what's a really good flashback story? What part of Henry's life matches the theme of this episode? And we kind of get a sense of what the flashback is, and then we get to the like, okay, well, how does Abe fit into this? Because that's always that's sort of the magic. Is what's Abe's take on this particular piece of material, and can he fold back into the A story somehow? Because it's not a traditional show where you have like an A story, a B story, a C story. We have an A story, and then it has like offshoots, which would be like our flashbacks, which is really hard for production because Ioan's in all of it. Like even though it's 200 years ago, it's still the same actor has to play it. And then so we think of the Abe story, and then so that's like the most basic version of the architecture that we get. And then we go to the whiteboard and we just got to like be like, okay, what's the crime and how do we break that story? And then we go and we figure, well, this is a nice opportunity for a flashback. And so we basically, do what I call freeform jazz. And we play a lot of freeform jazz, just trying to kind of get a rough shape of an episode. And then we kind of fill in stuff. And then we do like one final day where we talk about every single beat in like tremendous detail before the writer goes off and writes the outline and then writes the script.
Do you guys have experts that you consult, like medical experts or
Yeah,
for like the abbreviations you guys use all the time?
I know.
We have a former ME who is like a consultant to the show. I mean, at some point he's just going to take his name off the show because he's constantly telling me how ridiculous some of this stuff is. Like medically speaking, he's like, you absolutely could never tell how somebody jumped off of the bridge.
Dr. Morgan can tell.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. I'm like, the guy's immortal. Like,
knows
come on,
everything.
he knows everything. So his name is Shia Rabowski, and he was like he worked on like legitimate shows like Law and Orders and stuff like that are
this show is
legitimate, but shows that like maybe the sort of math and science of it all has to be yes, exactly right. And I look at that stuff a little bit more liberally, but yeah, he's super super helpful, and he'll come to the set when we do the OCME, which is our the autopsy kind of coroner lab. And he doesn't come there as often because Ioan sort of has the hang of like what to do. But if there's a certain episode, like on the Jack the Ripper episode, we dissected like a brain or things like that, he'll come for like those special occasion organ dissections.
Is there an immortality expert?
No.
Like, who's the resident vampire is what we need to know.
We have a few of those on staff. We have,
the writers, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I like when I was researching this show, I did do fair amount of like we had this thing in the pilot that was cut out of the pilot, and I've put it into 3 separate episodes, and it's been cut out of every episode, which is this thing called the immortal jellyfish. There's a real organism called an immortal jellyfish, and it like regenerates and lives forever or for a really long time. And there's people that like there's no legitimate science in this television show. But that said, like there is, we are living a lot longer, and there are like legitimate scientists and doctors and people that spend their lives studying like how do we possibly prolong our aging process. And there was this Japanese doctor that spent a lot of time studying the immortal jellyfish and how they actually are able to regenerate their cells and continue living. So in the pilot, it got cut out of the pilot, but we had this. He was in his lab downstairs, and he had this big, beautiful fish tank with this beautiful. We got an immortal jellyfish for the shoot and the pilot, and then killed the immortal jellyfish.
No, you didn't.
Amazingly, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So the thing was going to live forever if we didn't cast it, and so we got this immortal jellyfish, which we killed, and so we just had to fill the tank with water quickly and shoot it, and then we got this even better CGI. Immortal jellyfish.
And now that one's really
which
CGI.
Didn't die, and that one's really CGI. And so we have this really like nice, beautiful moment where I like pretty colors, like that kind of stuff. Like it's the kind of thing I just gravitate towards when I'm watching television. And so he would like feed the jellyfish, and he talked about how when the only other organism that shares your plate has neither a heart nor a brain, it can get a little lonely and all that kind of stuff. It was just too long; it didn't fit in the pilot. But
maybe we'll see it future episodes.
Yeah, and it's real.
Well, then it came up again today with the immortality because Henry got shot, and it's come up a few times. Like, how does his healing happen now if he doesn't die? Does he heal like a regular person?
No. Yeah, he heals like a regular person. So like in the pilot, he gets shot. He's like actually shot.
Right.
Right. Okay. I mean, like we've joked in the writer's room, like that if he had like a really bad cold, he should just like end it.
That's what
she says.
Yeah, he's got like a sinus infection. He's like, all right, this is ridiculous.
I'm done.
I can't take this.
Right. Just give me the gun. Bam.
All right. Well, another one of our favorite characters is Detective Hanson.
Yes.
Which we found out when Donnie was called into the show. His first name is Mike. We didn't know his first name.
Yeah, I didn't either. I learned it pretty late in the series.
I think you should have come up with that name.
I know, believe me.
Who created Mike?
I don't know. He was Hanson, and he was always just Detective Hanson. And then like, I think it was Donnie or somebody said, yeah, he's Mike Hanson, and I was like,
Donnie.
I don't think I would have gone with Mike. I just wasn't feeling that. But like the ship had sailed, and I was like, all right, I guess he's Mike Hanson. It just feels a little pedestrian. I don't know.
It's like a real New Yorker. I think it works.
All right.
But when he called into the show, we found out that he was a lead singer of a rock band, and I think Pegah suggested that he sing in one of the episodes.
I think that's a great idea.
And we need this to happen because we have a whole Twitter campaign going, like hashtag get Donnie to sing.
I love it. This is all news to me, by the way. First of all, the Arkansas accent is just incredible.
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for it. I would love.
We need to get Donnie to sing.
Yeah,
like a whole musical episode.
Oh, that works.
I just feel like he would. Yeah, it'd be great. I just like the idea that Henry and Joe would sort of wander into some bar some night, and then there would be like Donnie.
Yes,
like, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And when finally Lucas, before we get into the next episode, we'll do a quick recap. We love Lucas.
Yeah.
If he has those one-liners, he's there for a little bit of comic relief, a little levity. But will we find out more about Lucas? Will his relationship with Dr. Morgan grow? I mean, will he take him up on some drinks? I feel like Lucas is always like, do you want to go to drink? And Jordan's like, no.
Yeah, I think I think part of that is like, Henry doesn't want to get too close to people, but like, which we started that kind of idea in the pilot, that he's starting to like move a little closer, and certainly with Joe. And then, Lucas is really determined that he just wants to be friends with the guy, and Henry doesn't want any of that. But yes, we see in the next episode he starts to move forward a little bit in his relationship with Lucas alone.
Nice.
A lot is happening in the next episode.
It's a big episode.
So
It's
excited.
a big episode, yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, well, can we get into tonight's episode
Yeah,
real
let's go
quick? We'll
for
do
it.
a quick recap. It was called New York Kids.
Okay.
So it opens on Dr. Tyler Forrester getting an award, New York City's Give Back Hero Award, and then we find him dead in his apartment.
Dun, dun, dun.
Kaput.
Murder weapon is the actual award.
And in the opening scene of the show, nobody's safe.
No one's
Right,
safe.
that's true. You don't want to be in that first scene of the episode. Someone's getting killed.
Someone's definitely getting killed. We learned that his father is extremely wealthy, but he didn't take any money. And then there's this tattoo on his chest.
Yeah.
It was June. It was basically 4/10/2005. So June 10th. Not 4. That's April. June, but it was like backwards.
Yeah.
5.
Right.
It was a mirror. It's confusing.
In Roman numerals, it was complicated.
It was really complicated. But we find out, did you say you kind of have like a 50, next episode's 50 Shades of Grey. Did you kind of think of, I Know What You Did Last Summer?
We did,
with this?
yeah,
Okay.
we did. It was, and that doesn't always, it's not always the case. Like sometimes you just, like we're doing an episode in 2 weeks that's just like a jazz episode. We just like to get into the world of jazz, and it's not necessarily reminiscent of any movie, but if you can sort of hold on to like, and structurally this is, obviously a much different structure from I Know What You Did Last Summer, but the initial idea was that, it was like the idea of a crime that takes place in present day, but has to do with something that happened in the past. Because that, like, sort of Henry's whole bit is like, holding on to the past, and that it comes, you never really let go of it.
Yeah.
So there was that was the idea, was to take that thematic, which Henry carries around, like the scars that we all carry around with us, and whether it be like emotional baggage or scars, and even like Abe has like a secret, and Henry has a secret. Everyone has these things that they don't really want to share, and then to actually see this character that was so overcome with guilt that he felt like he had to like mark his body with like his big secret.
Is that a theme in a lot of your shows? Is like Chuck had a secret. Everyone has a secret.
Everyone has secrets.
Well, if you tell everyone everything.
Yeah, it's not
I've got
fun.
something I'd like to
Not more
unload right
interesting.
now.
There you go,
Yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah.
But so going with the themes though, so the one a few weeks last week was the Jack the Ripper one. So I know somebody on Twitter, I didn't get their handle, but they asked if he was going to uncover more mysteries from other real murders, like the Zodiac Killer.
Right. Well, that episode, was specific. We did like, Jack the Ripper. We did Black Dahlia. We did like a little sort of tease of Boston Strangler at the end of it. And maybe it feels like you don't want to kind of play that hand too often. So it'll be a little while. And like, with Henry, it's not like we didn't want to make him like Forrest Gump, where he's just sort of there in history for all these things. I think we want to like see him in the periphery of stuff. But yeah, so we don't do any real true crime stuff in the next couple of episodes. We will learn a little bit about the anonymous caller at some point though, and flash back to like a little true crime kind of stuff with him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, what I liked about this
Spoiler.
episode is it's basically, there was a group of four best friends from high school, and you couldn't tell which one of them did it, if any.
Right.
And that's how I'm really, really good at
guessing.
picking the
Yeah.
killer out. And
Yeah.
I couldn't, that's why I love this episode, because I couldn't figure out which one. At first I was like, it's Cass. And then something happened. I was like, oh my God, it's not Cass. And I was like, who is it? So how do you kind of build the killer into
I mean, I
not
think-
be the main people? And
Yeah, I mean,
but
we can
still
give
have
away
them-
whatever it was about. So in that episode, it was like, we wanted to, it was New York Kids, and we wanted to play around with the three main suspects of the three kids. But like, I think that for me, it would have felt a little like unsatisfying to just be like, it was Cass because she loved him, or it was Paul because he loved Cass, or Carter, or like if it just sort of folded in, you weren't learning anything new. If it just kind of kept folding into itself about these three and passing it around, and I thought it was more interesting to suspect all three of them, and that they all had maybe a reason to do it or not do it. But that maybe there was and that they certainly were guilty, and they were guilty of that crime of hitting the boy 10 years ago, but that if it was a totally different left turn to who actually did it in present day. So that's we kind of played around with that idea, and we came up with the gas station guy who had been blackmailing Tyler, and then he wanted to finally he had decided he's doing that little videotape business, he was gonna the weight of it was too much for him, so he was gonna just fess up the whole thing.
Yeah, I love the way that it was cut with all of their the interrogations within another. Yeah. How much do you play a role in how it's edited? Do you sit in the editing bay? Are you watching every move?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time in editing. It's like, for any showrunner, it's literally, it depends on your particular day, and you some days you're all in the room, some days you're writing, some days, but editing is the thing you maybe spend the most of your time doing, because you got to shape the cuts and then the music and all of that. But just in 107 New York Kids, it was designed to be that way. Sometimes you write something and it's all right, well, this scene's kind of slow and this scene's kind of slow. Can we intercut them? But that one was written to be, one line.
Because they all play.
Yeah. It was supposed to play like that.
All right. Well, I love the flashbacks in this one because you see Henry really torn when he chooses himself over a patient, basically.
Yeah.
And is that why he basically decides not to be a doctor anymore?
Yeah, I think the idea was that in that moment Joe asks him, "Why aren't you a real doctor?" And he gets very offended on behalf of medical examiners.
I am a real doctor.
Yeah. But that for him, it was a moment where he realized that he had chosen to protect himself and his secret over a person, and in that moment he sort of broke he's a very honorable guy,
right?
And he sort of broke his oath and felt that he really couldn't practice medicine anymore after that.
Interesting. All right, well, it was a really good episode. Do you have any more on the episode?
No.
Do you guys want to get into predictions?
Yeah.
Do you want to go over the photos?
And then we'll do photos.
Okay, cool.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Obviously, you know everything that happens, so you just smile and nod along.
Okay, so you guys are going to guess.
Marielou, we're going to give a little prediction for each.
Okay.
Well, I predict we're going to meet Abe's ex-wife.
We know that's going to happen.
Yes. No, I'm just more excited to learn more about Adam. Well, now I know it's not going to be for a while. You said not until December sometime we're not going to see another Adam episode.
Oh no, I didn't say that. I said you're not going to meet him.
Oh, we're not going to meet him. Okay.
We won't see.
I just need more Adam.
Right,
that's a story I like. I need more of that.
I know. I agree. I like the Adam stuff a lot, but it'll go fast. You'll
Okay.
You'll be okay.
I wonder who's going to play Adam.
Who is it? The voice actor is also the Adam actor. Or we're not sure yet.
Oh, good question.
Or is that giving away too much?
That's a good question. Is it the same person?
Is that all you?
He's like, wait, I haven't figured that out yet.
Wait, so his name's not in the credits, obviously.
Maybe not.
Right.
No.
I don't know.
That's his stock answer.
I would be so
I don't know.
angry if I got a role in this awesome show forever, and I can't even tell people or show people that I'm
him.
It's me.
Maybe he's so famous that he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need the publicity. He's already out there.
A household name.
And there were some theories at some point that Adam was maybe Joe's husband.
Oh.
That's not my theory. That's a theory I read somewhere.
That would make things
that's kind of scandalous.
Interesting.
And he's harassing Henry because he's get away from my woman.
Yeah.
Basically.
I see you sniffing around there.
Yeah. Come on, man. No, you said that she's scientifically hot.
So it's like Ghost.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a way.
Wow.
All right, what do you think?
I like it.
I think we're going to see Detective Hanson sing. And then I've been saying this every show. Lucas is going to be the first one that finds out his secret, and that's going to be what brings them together, and they're going to become BFFs because of that.
She has said that from the beginning.
That's
Lucas is going to be the first one.
That's good.
He deserves it. He's so cute and nice.
Yeah.
My prediction is I want to, like you said, we'll probably learn more about Jo and her past because she describes the way he died. He had like a heart attack on the treadmill, and I don't think that's really how he died. I think there's some sketchy stuff going on, and maybe we get into that, and maybe he was murdered, maybe. So I'm looking forward to that.
We'll definitely tell an episode where we get into Jo's dead husband.
All right. What's his name?
Sean.
Sean. All right, we don't have to go through like some mystery to find out his first name.
Martinez.
Okay, now
No, not Martinez. She's the Martinez. He's the Sean.
Okay, he's the Sean.
Yeah.
Get it straight.
Okay.
He's Sean. Yeah, she has her own. Yeah.
She's a very powerful,
Right. Empowered.
strong female.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love her.
Oh, great.
I love her
good.
so much.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I like,
yeah,
and we didn't really talk about this. Her getting over shooting someone for the first time.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good, because she is so strong, as a way to make her vulnerable
Right.
for a moment.
Yeah.
She's obviously still a strong
Yeah.
NYPD detective.
Right.
But it shows, what they have to go through all the time.
Yeah. We obviously it happened at the end of last episode, or episode 6, and then she sort of has that scene in the bar with Henry before Adam interrupts things. And then in this episode, she sort of deals with it a little bit, and he's sort of there to help her kind of get through it. But Alana's awesome, amazing actress, and she's a pleasure, a joy to work with in the same way that Jonas. She's great.
Well, we saw in this episode she got a little bit more sassy than usual, and I
She
love
is
that. Is
sassy.
that like part of her personality that's coming out?
Yeah. I think she's
Knew
got
it.
a little bit more sass to
love
her.
it.
And
Yeah.
it was fun.
Well, hopefully she's going to call into one of our after shows soon.
That would be great. She has little kids and stuff, so it's so late for her.
It's
On
so
the
late.
East Coast, it's like
I know, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like 2:30 where they are.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
We'll hope.
leak the episode to us early so we can record our after show earlier.
Oh, great. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that would be
good.
Fun.
For us.
No problem.
Solved.
So,
Problem solvers.
Problem
right?
yeah.
Now we have some cool behind the scenes photos.
Great.
We thought we could look at, and you can
Yeah.
maybe talk
Oh,
us
man.
through. You on set with.
That was the night that we shot. When Henry met Abigail for the first time, and little baby Abe.
Baby Abe.
And baby Abe.
I'm not gonna lie, I shed a tear.
Oh, it was very
Not
sweet.
gonna lie.
And I'll tell you it was a very cold winter, and it was a particularly cold night. And that baby it was a real, baby, and we had like a little warming tent, but it was freezing. And the kid had like the most adorable smile on his face the whole time. He was awesome. And then also, like, if you watch the pilot, in that scene, I don't know if you can tell, but like there was these big, beautiful snowflakes that came down.
Yes.
And that, sometimes you have to generate that. It happened just like we
Oh,
got
wow.
really low. I mean, like if it had been like 10 degrees warmer, it would have been rained. It'd been like miserable. And it was
this
perfect.
last winter?
Yeah, this was this. I guess we probably shot that around like, it was a really cold winter, but it was probably around like March.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, let's see what else we got.
And this was a couple weeks ago at Comic-Con New York.
Ah.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was super fun, and you like never know if anyone's gonna even show up, and we got like a couple thousand people I think showed up and asked really good
Comic-Cons.
questions. It was great, and we made this little Comic-Con reel that we just posted online. So yeah, it was great.
Oh, we'll
Did
have to
anyone
tweet the
stump
link to
you
it.
with any of their questions?
No, one guy had a really good question, which was like, if Henry always knows he's going to die and come up in water, why doesn't he like pack a bag and hide it somewhere by the water with like his clothes?
Hey, that's
Which I thought was a
brilliant.
really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good idea. Does he's always like reborn in the same place?
No, I mean, like that's he's not supposed to be reborn in the same place. It's a function of the production schedule.
Gotcha.
Like in my perfect world, we would find lots of different places, and then you end up like, all right, well, we've got this plate that we've already shot for here.
Yeah,
so
do you
let's
have
just-
like 50 shots of him coming up in the water in that one spot in different ways?
We've
Like, do it again.
got like him in a pool against green coming up in a lot of different ways, and so we've shot it with him coming up in the water, but then we've done like Henry with like a mustache coming out of the water, and Henry with like mutton chops, in case like you just like for
Just
any
in
time
case.
period that you need
Yeah.
him to die and
Yeah.
come out of a body of water. Yeah.
Right, so when he's regenerated, he comes back looking the way he looks when
He died.
just died, the most recent death.
Right, yeah.
These rules.
Oh, tattoos.
We gotta write them down.
How about tattoos? I gotta know. If he has a tattoo, will it come back?
He doesn't have a tattoo, but no, it wouldn't come back. The only thing that comes back is that scar thing he's got from the first shot.
From the first time.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's,
look at these guys.
Lucas.
Yeah, that's from the pilot, Joel and Ioan.
All right, let's see.
Hanging out. Let's see, what episode is
Detective
that?
Hanson.
Detective Hanson and Lieutenant Reese.
Now, is this on a soundstage?
Yeah, this is in our police precinct there.
Oh, okay.
Are most of the locations on soundstage or outside?
No, most of it's like outside and about the world. We our soundstage, we have the OCME, which is the lab, and then the police precinct, and then we have on another soundstage. This is pretty recent. We have the the basement lab that Henry has in the antique shop is on a stage. But the actual antique shop and the apartment where they live is a real location in the Lower East Side. It's like a store that we leased, and we dressed with antiques and painted Abe's outside. So we shoot, in front of...
So anyone could just go visit
just
it?
walk by and be in the shot.
I want to go to New York.
I know, we'll just have to go up there and just stand outside of Abe's Antiques.
Yeah.
Crash the set.
It's like the Today Show. You can just wave and come in behind it. Yeah.
Like,
so
Abe,
cool.
wait, Abe's not here?
Yeah.
Abe's not real? All right, let's see what else we got. So another behind the scenes shot of, looks like an interrogation?
Yeah, no, that's like our conference room. That's Donnie and Alana, and it looks like we've got little Henry there with the back of his lab coat on business. That's inside our precinct.
All right, let's see what else.
Henry, and that's we have two first ADs, assistant directors. That's one of them named Peter Saldo. Great guy.
Oh.
Nice.
And that's Lorraine and Alana and Moxie, one of our DPs, directors. We have two DPs, so they alternate every other week.
Gotcha. Donnie and Joel, when they called in, they just said that set is, like you said, everyone's so amazing that they have so much fun on set.
Yeah, we're really, really fortunate. The cast is great and the crew is fantastic. There's really, really lucky group. Yeah.
It looks like they're having some fun.
Yeah, they're having fun. And they're like,
Everyone needs a selfie.
Right?
All right. Oh, there's a autopsy?
Yeah, that's the autopsy. That's our OCME, which is, where we, the two cameras there, and they, it's hard for me to tell. It looks like that the body is, we did this kind of, a person gets burned in a car. So we have like a charred, I can't tell, but it sort of looks like that's the charred body there in the background.
What kind of camera do you guys use?
We use an Alexa.
That's some hefty equipment.
Yeah.
Donnie.
We have a couple of Donnie. I think our on-set camera person
I know,
was just
clearly
following
was like,
Donnie around.
So the show's about this guy, Detective Hanson.
Mike.
He has to
His
deal with
first
this
name is
ME
Mike.
guy.
And he sings.
Yeah.
They were saying, like, what is he doing?
We're actually going to learn in an episode about Detective Hanson's kids, because he'll get shot and goes into the hospital.
Okay.
He's got like these little kids running around. It's good. It's really cute.
All right.
Yeah, Detective Hanson's character reminds me a lot of Dokes in Dexter, with the character that's just suspicious of the main guy.
Right, yeah,
where he's
yeah.
like, got my eye on you.
Yeah, you need
But less
that.
abrasive.
Less abrasive and more lovable.
Yeah.
Like Donnie's pretty lovable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked John, the co-executive producer, what question can I ask Donnie? He's going to be on the show, and he says that he has a really hard job because he always has to foil Dr. Morgan.
Yeah.
He's always
and
challenging
everyone
him.
loves Henry, so it's like, you got to be the sort of force. But I think that they have a good relationship. I just think Hanson's like a cop that's been doing it for a while, and he just he's kind of looking for the easy way out of things. He's looking for like open and shut cases to be open and shut cases. He wants to get home, crack open a beer, watch forever, and just kick back with his kids. And like Henry comes into things and is always like with these crazy theories about stuff. They don't see eye to eye all the time.
I think, is that our last one, Marissa?
I think so.
That's it.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Good session, guys.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
It was
We
fantastic.
learned so much. I hope you can join us again sometime.
Yeah, love to. Thank you guys for doing this.
Of course. Where can we find you on social media?
Matt Miller TV, Twitter handle, Matt Miller TV.
All right, follow him, ask him any questions you want about the show. What about you guys?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Marielou Mandel, MarieLoumandel. Yes, I have to spell it every time.
You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Pegah Rad.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kate Aquillano. Again, thank you to Matt Miller for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thanks, guys.
See you next week, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.